Ho, ho, ho. The NFL has blessed us with a Merry Christmas and football all week long. It's NFL Week 17, and we've been hitting props and best bets at an 80% rate this past month. So if you want some more presents under that tree, stay tuned for our NFL Week 17 player props and best bets episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Docs. What is up, folks? NFL Week 17. What a week. We had our first Degen play cash of the season.
Yep.
A nice, juicy 34-1, bringing that home. We also crushed it again, hitting at 80% this last month. What more can you ask for? What is up, folks? I am one of your hosts here, the Degen Doc, and more importantly, I'm joined by my brother in Genesee, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks, and together we are the Degen Docs. How we doing tonight, brother?
Screw the chestnuts on fire. We are red hot, my guy.
I don't even know what to say. I've been trying to not jinx it. I even tried to be like, hey, they said betting on the NFL is hard, thinking I might jinx it.
Yeah.
And we overcame it. So right now, locked in. Yeah, knock on all the woods here. Locked in, showing the resiliency. Look, folks, if this is your first...
we have to pay for all these holiday festivities somehow. And if the NFL is just giving us layups, we'll cash.
It would only be right for us to hit this. Look, folks, if this is your first time joining us, you've come in the middle of a heater. You should have been here sooner, but hey, the best time to come in was yesterday, and the second best time is right now today. So join the Degen Docs team here. NFL Week 17, locks and props. Just a little bit of expectation management, show structure here. What you're going to see, we'll talk a little bit of banter up top. We've got playoffs right around the corner. We got a little bit of a fan brawl incident here that we got to talk about. But we will get into our props of the week. Derek and I will both give out 3 props, our favorite props for the entire NFL 17 slate. Then we will get into our best bets, or what we like to call around here, Docs prescriptions, bets we feel so good about, we are prescribing them to you. Yep. Then we'll get to our Degen parlay, our plays here, both over 45-1, coming off a 34-1 cash just last week. And then we've got our Christmas preview. We've got 3 games on Christmas. We're going to be breaking down. We're going to be giving out a game pick and a prop for each game. So without further ado, let's get started here. Look, I want to kick this off by saying college football playoff, hey, if you're into college, we did that breakdown. We'll be doing another one for round 2.
Yep.
But I don't know if college football has anything on the NFL after this week. I mean, we talk about that Thursday night football game between the Seahawks and the Rams, that Saturday night game between the Packers and the Bears, and then that Sunday night game. You could even argue the Sunday afternoon game with Detroit and Pittsburgh, and then Baltimore and New England. I mean, massive comebacks, crazy games, and everything on the line with playoffs around the corner. Those all felt like playoff games. Like the NFL may just be king. Curious on what your thoughts there to an insane week in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had pretty good games. Basically every slate that came up. I mean, that early slate was
the Bucks Panthers came down to
that one was closer. My Cleveland Browns at least last week.
Yeah, that was great play.
Through. That was nice.
That was a nice play. Definitely feel that.
But yeah, I mean, the NFL is undefeated, dude. I mean, this is prime football season. We're starting to get some weather involved, and it's awesome.
Yes, I know we got a couple snow games potentially on the slate, which is going to be just awesome. Hopefully back home with some family, just hanging out and enjoying a great slate of football.
Heck yeah.
Super stoked. Before we get into the plays here, got to talk about a couple things here. One of them is the fan incident. Let me pull something up here. Actually, before we do, we'll do this. Let's get this up on the screen here because we had a guy in Mr. DK Metcalf who had a bit of an incident there. For those that don't know, in the middle of that Lions-Steelers game, which was a really good game, They pan over to the side, and DK was like getting into it with a fan. He basically grabbed the dude by the shirt and then looked like he kind of pushed off. It for a second, if you kind of saw one angle, it looked like he kind of hit him. It didn't really. He kind of just pushed off on him, whatever. Not really a huge deal, but obviously like player interacting with fan, not great. What the heck's going on there? There's different sides to the story. The fan says he just called him by his government name, Degen or whatever. And Metcalf is claiming some racial stuff, or he's talking about his mom, and that he had a repeat incident with the same fan. So it's kind of a whole mess. As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah, I can't have it. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't have it at any point in the season, but especially going into the last couple of weeks here. I mean, I don't know how the fan necessarily got his attention to begin with, or what he was doing.
Right.
Over next to the wall there. But yeah, can't have it. I mean, if somebody says something about your mom or calls you a name or whatever, like, I get it, but at the same time, like, you gotta be better than that. You gotta just kind of brush that off to the side and stick to football at that point. And it really seemed like it affected him the rest of that half.
Yeah, had that drop and then a couple drops and an offensive PI, which was questionable, but they called it. Look, so I think there's 2 points here. One that you were hitting on, right? You're a professional athlete. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play this game. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard. I know Mike Tomlin and the Steelers try to do that. You got to have a little bit what we call in the military mental resiliency. You want to regulate your emotions.
Right.
I get it. These guys are, they're athletes. Testosterone is flowing. It's emotional, but you just can't have that. And on the other side, from the fan perspective, there's videos that came out that basically, like, after it happened, he was like cheering and said, "That's the goal," verbatim. You can hear him say it that was his goal. That was his main intent, to antagonize and try to get DK Metcalf in trouble. The dude is a clown. I mean, if you look at anything, right?
100%.
So, can't have it from the player side. From the fan side, though, I think social media is really just like taught people that they can say whatever they want to anybody with like zero consequences, right? Oh, I'll sue you, or oh, I'm behind my keyboard. Man, that's just bogus. That's awful way to go through life. So DK, you got to hold it in check there. You got to hold yourself to a high standard. But that fan is an absolute loser for doing that. But right now, DK Metcalf suspended for 2 games. Could do some voiding of the contract. I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to move that direction, but he's appealing it. More videos coming out. We'll see. I think ultimately it becomes a 1-game suspension. But we're going to talk about something here, and that is the NFL playoff picture that may make this suspension almost irrelevant here. If we take a look at the NFL playoff picture, because week 17, 2 weeks away, a lot of the spots have been solidified as far as who's getting in. I'm sorry, the teams. But the spots are really what's up for grabs here.
No doubt.
Just kind of want to talk quickly about a couple of these before we get into the picks here. So 1 seed, very much up for grabs. If the Broncos win out, meaning they beat the Chiefs here on Christmas, and then they beat the Chargers, they will still be the 1 seed. That Chargers game in week 18. Now, that week 18 game may be for the division, however, because if the Chargers beat the Texans, that game is going to be for the division. And, obviously it kind of doesn't matter because the Chargers already beat the Broncos 1 time. So, because the Chargers are 12, or the Chargers are 11 and they got 11 wins and the Broncos have 12. Am I saying that correctly?
Correct.
Yeah. So if both teams win this week, then they'll go into that final week. And if the Chargers win, they'd have the tiebreaker. Now, Chargers play the Texans, who the Texans still have a shot at the AFC South. If they win out and the Jags lose 1 game, whether it's to the Colts next week or to the Titans the following week, they will be the AFC South winner. You've got Pittsburgh, Baltimore. That win versus the Lions was massive. That loss to the Patriots, massive. Now, if either the Steelers beat the Browns or the Ravens lose to the Packers on Sunday, Pittsburgh Steelers are AFC North champions. They have nothing to play for these next 2 weeks. Again, that could be, say the Ravens win. If they beat the Browns, no DK Metcalf likely, but if they take care of the Browns like they should, they are the AFC North, and that week 18 game between the Steelers and the Ravens, irrelevant. Right? So we've got that situation going on. And then you flip to the other side. 1 seed very much up for grabs. If Seattle wins this week
And going back to the Steelers Ravens,
right.
if they both win this week, it's still irrelevant, right? It's
Yes.
really
It's just
it's
one
really if the Steelers lose this week, then and the
and the Ravens
and
win.
the Ravens win. Yeah.
So it all starts Saturday, Ravens Packers. If
Right.
the Ravens win, they keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yep.
Then the Steelers could come in and just beat the Browns, take care of the Browns. I believe it's in Cleveland,
It is.
but just take care of the Browns and they still win. So either situation, the Steelers control their own destiny to
Yep.
finish it this week and not
Right.
have to play the Ravens next week for anything on the line. Now going over to the NFC, you've got the 1 seed still very much up for grabs there, and then just to finish the AFC East because I didn't talk about it. If the Patriots win one of the last 2 games, I believe they clinch the division there. They play the Dolphins and the Jets. The Jets first and then the Dolphins. So on paper, should be their division to take home.
Right.
Other side, 1 seed, very much up for grabs. I think there's a bunch of teams that are vying for this. Now, if Seattle wins out, they're the 1 seed.
Correct.
If San Francisco wins out, they're the 1 seed. If either of those teams lose and the Bears went out, they're the 1 seed, right? And then I think there's a situation where the Rams could also be the 1 seed in this. So
it gets real messy.
It is a little
Those
bit messy,
teams,
but
yeah.
Seattle and San Francisco both control their own destiny, and a little bit of Chicago because they could force a loss to San Francisco because they play them next week, but they don't. Yeah, Seattle. So it's a little bit hairy. Seattle's got the inside track right now, but really so does San Francisco. That Carolina Panthers NFC South, they beat the Bucs, so they're on top. However, Bucs play at Miami, and as long as the Bucs don't lose and the Panthers win, that division is coming down to Week 18, where it's in Tampa. Bucs Panthers in Tampa Bay. That's a situation where Tampa has to beat Miami and Quinn Ewers, right? You would expect them to, but they've been fucking awful.
You'd think, yeah.
Right, and then the Panthers, even if the Bucs somehow lose, if the Panthers lose to Seattle, which they're big underdogs,
right,
then it would still come down to Week 18 there. So that's likely coming down to Week 18. NFC East is the only one that's locked up. Unfortunately, the Commanders and Dan
Quinn broken.
just laid down. Marcus Mariota opted out, and they just laid down and handed the division to your division rivals. Disgusting game to watch as a fellow NFC East team, as a Giants fan. And then the Bears Packers still is a big one in the NFC North.
Right.
The Bears win one of the last 2 games, or the Packers lose one of the last 2 games, they are going to win the division there. So Bears just have to win one of these last 2. They play San Francisco. They play Detroit in Week 18.
Yep.
The Packers would have to, if they lose either against the Ravens or they play the Vikings Week 18, then they would lose the division. However, the Lions are a little bit on their tail. The Lions have to win out, and the Packers have to lose out for that 7-spot wild card there. So a lot to play for these last couple weeks is really what I want to highlight. There's still a lot to be figured out. A lot of the teams have been figured out, but this position, the slotting, there's a lot to go on. So you kind of want to know what games are playing for something and which are not. No bye weeks this week. Again, no more bye weeks for the rest of the season. Right. A quick recap before we get into the picks here. We've got, told you guys, man, we've had a great week. Thursday Night Football, we started off pretty solid. Really led by, gave out Seattle anytime defense or special teams at plus 475, almost a 5-1 hit there. Thank you, Rashid Shaheed. I also gave out the Rams, and I was late watching this game, so as I was rewatching it, I didn't realize until later they had an interception return to the fucking 1-yard line or whatever it was. They were a couple inches away from cashing both those, but we'll take the Charbonnet and the Blake Corum stuff as well that hit for us. On the props, a middling week, literally the definition of middling.
1-1-1 for both of us.
1-1-1 for both of us. We had a couple injury voids there. Both, was it Minshew and then Travion Henderson both got knocked out, I think, the first quarter.
Yeah, and both of us were on Jonathan Taylor, and he couldn't get anything going last night.
No, he could not. So, but in the props, we went 6-1-1. You pushed with the New York Giants because they're just so bad. And then I went on a 4-0 sweep on the locks. And then the funnest part
Hell of a day.
of Sunday, hopefully you were tailing this, 34-1 Degen play there. Justin Herbert, 300 yards. Jawan Johnson, 80-plus receiving yards. Both smashed. Well, Herbert got exactly 300.
Exactly.
Jawan Johnson got 80 yards in the first half, which is good
Yeah.
because he had like none in the second half.
Yeah.
But Jawan Johnson was easy. And then it was like a massive sweat. I was
Nice.
hoping the Cowgirls
Good
would
sweat.
keep it somewhat close.
Yeah.
On the dot, 300. Thank you, Quentin Johnston and Justin Herbert. And then if you checked out the pregame show, I hop on the Sports Gaming Podcast pregame show. You can find that over on my X every Sunday morning. Gave out a 22-1 bank there between Herbert and Drake May, 300 plus passing yards. I gave you the Drake May, just regular passing yards there. So pretty nice day. All right.
Good job.
Look,
hey, before we start handing out this week's bets, because I'm guessing we're getting to our props, go ahead and smash that subscribe and like button. We're getting ready to hand out free gifts of, free props and free locks. And we're going to talk about every single game that's going to be played on Christmas Day. The NFL has blessed us with three games, not great games, but 3 games that we can enjoy on Christmas Day.
Hey, look, folks, we are 42-11-3 in our last 4 shows on props and best bets. That is a 79% hit rate. It's not sustainable. It is crazy. We've been betting for a long time, so we know that this is a nice high. We're going to do our best to keep it going, but damn, does it feel good to hit almost 80% through an entire month of betting the National Football League.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what you came to expect here at the Degen Docs, and we're going to keep it rolling. As Derek said, we're going to our props. Our favorite props for NFL Week 17. What did you start us off there, brother? What's your first prop?
Let me do a little digging here. Where do I want to start? Oh yeah, let's start with the Eagles Commanders game. Eagles Bills. That's the one. Eagles Bills. Thank you. I had the wrong schedule pulled up. But yeah, Eagles Bills. And I love really both running backs in this one, but I love Saquon Barkley to go over his rushing total at 83.5. He's done this in 2 of the last 3 weeks by a pretty wide margin. And the Bills, you can run on the Bills. I mean, last week, the Brownies ran for only 81. Saquon Barkley's better than Quinshon Judkins at this point. The week before that, the Patriots ran for $198 on the Bills. And going back earlier in the season, they had a boatload of backs go over this number. So yeah, give me Saquon Barkley over 83.5 at -110.
Yeah, you talked about how you like both running backs in this game, and yeah, I'm gonna take the other side of that coin. Give me James Cook over 88.5 over on DK rush yards -111 there. So just 5 yards more, but the difference here is you have the best rusher in the NFL. I mean, James Cook leads the NFL in rushing. This is expected to be a snow game, so defenders lose a little bit of their footing, and both these guys really could be out the gate. And yeah, these teams are very similar. Passing offense at times can be pretty stagnant, but their rush offenses, look, Buffalo's got one of the best rush offenses in the NFL, if not the best NFL. Probably. So this is the way you want to attack these defenses is on the ground. And especially for the Eagles there, look, they are giving up 4.4 yards a carry, over 120 yards a game. And Josh Allen, expect him to play, expect him to be out there, but he did get that X-ray on his foot. It was negative, which is great. Expected to play. Did not practice today in a little bit of a walkthrough. He's definitely sore, so I don't think he's going to be running as much. They're going to have to rely on James Cook, and I think that's the best path to success. Look, I know Jalen Carter has a shot to return this week. That's okay. I still like that this Buffalo offensive line in this running game is super dominant. I think in the weather, I think all things considered, I love James Cook here. I think he's going to be the feature, and he's going to be a large reason why I think the Bills are going to have some success on Sunday. So you're on Saquon. I'm on James Cook. Both running backs go over in the same game. Where are we going next here?
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about my lures. And I'm actually going to fade the lures in this one because for years they have sucked against the tight end position. And the Cleveland Browns have a rookie tight end by the name of Harold Fannin Jr. I expect to get in the end zone for a fourth out of fifth weeks. He's done this in 3 out of the last 4. And the Steelers have given up 10 touchdowns to the tight end position, 3 in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, give me Harold Fannin anytime touchdown at plus 300.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I mean, this is interesting because some of these games, like this Pittsburgh game, right now, they need to prepare to beat the Cleveland Browns
Yep.
because if the Ravens win, they need this for the division.
Right.
If the Ravens lose, which they're 3-point underdogs, Lamar's a little bit banged up. We'll see what's going
Yep.
on there. That game is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So,
I do expect the Steelers to play this game. You don't
right.
necessarily need them to take 2 buys, but going into that Ravens game, week 18, if the Ravens lose, or obviously if the Steelers win, they'll have it locked up, and I expect them to just
Yeah, rest.
go in sleeping against the Ravens. But I do think that they play this one regardless if the Ravens win or lose Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean either way, the Browns are going to be motivated, right? It's
Yeah.
not going to change the Steelers'
Yeah.
the Browns' motivation. So
Yeah,
I
and
like
Shedeur just loves throwing to this guy. I mean,
he peppers
this
him with targets.
oh, yeah, this past week he only had 6 targets, but he had 4 catches. The week before that, he had 14 targets. The week before that, he had 11 targets. He
Yeah,
he loves throwing to
and even with if Njoku comes back, who hasn't practiced in several weeks with the knee injury, so
right.
no really guarantee there. Even if he does, he's still such a feature of this offense that I think the price
Yep.
is just wrong.
Even when Njoku was there, he was getting plenty of targets. So
Yeah, and they're underdogs. No
yep.
Quinshaw Judkins, who's out for the season now. Very unfortunate injury.
Yep.
They're gonna have to rely on Fannin even more.
Yep.
All right, going over to my side. I think I've done this one other time, but I'm going to a kicker prop.
Oh, here we
And
go.
I saw this kind of
I
by
know exactly
accident.
where you're going.
Yeah, look, I was looking for between the Houston Texans at the LA Chargers game on Saturday. I
Yep.
was looking on the defensive to see if they had any of my precious sack props up to fade this Chargers offensive line. And then I saw it just sitting there staring at me beautifully. Kyrie Fairbairn over 7.5 kicking points at plus 105. Look,
Easy.
he has hit this in his last 7 games played. He's only missed this in 3 games this season. He is just a stud. Fairbairn,
Yeah.
it's in SoFi Stadium, so we don't have to worry about any weather,
Correct.
right? It's a great kicking stadium. We've seen the guy on the other side. I really like both these kickers, Cameron
Yeah.
Dicker
Dicker.
and Dicker the kicker and Fairbairn here. 2 of the best, in the AFC. Great kicking environment. And
Yep.
this is essentially a playoff game that these teams are going for, right? If the Texans still have a shot at the division, they need to win this game to clinch their playoff spot over the Colts to, officially knock them out. The Chargers, on the other hand, are still eyeing for that AFC West crown. So
Yep.
they're going to be motivated to try and win there. So I think both these teams have really good defenses. The offenses can struggle at times, especially the Houston Texans red zone offense. Absolutely
Yep.
abysmal. There's a reason Fairbairn is one of the best fantasy kickers because they just resort to field goals all the damn time. I love this. I think that they're going to be able to, whether it's 3 field goals, 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns, whatever it is, give
Right.
me Fairbairn over 7.5 kicking points at the plus 105 there. All right, last prop of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to trail you on Mr. Punctuation there in Fairbairn, but let me go to let's go to the Jacksonville Indy game. I absolutely love the matchup for Trevor Lawrence in this game.
Yeah.
He went over this number the first time that they played back in what was that, week 14, just a few weeks ago. He threw for 247 and 2 tuds. Yeah, I'm taking his over 238.5. I mean,
I like that.
The Colts are missing a couple of their defensive backs. I mean, Brock Purdy just picked them apart, and the Jags, they have to just keep winning to keep the Texans off their tail there. So I do think that Trevor Lawrence has himself a little bit of a day once again. So yeah, go over 238.5 at minus 110.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I mean, you look at the angle of talked about it. If the Texans win, the Colts are officially eliminated. Now they did say they're going to start Phillip Rivers either way. I don't know if they reevaluate that. I mean, it's kind of like why not see what you have in Riley Leonard, but also Sauce Gardner, who's been out for them. Is he going to return this week? If would he be? It's a short week. Are you really going to push him to play if they get eliminated? So that pass defense was awful.
So
Awful.
bad.
I mean, they made Brock Purdy's not a bad quarterback, but
No.
they made him look like, Joe Montana. It
Yeah.
was pretty insane. Philip Rivers did everything he could, but that pass defense just nothing. And Lawrence, man, he's been looking great
Yeah.
these past couple weeks. I mean, he's really been playing at MVP level. He's got Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, Parker Washington. That's a pretty scary trio of wide receivers, including Brenton Strange, who you hit last week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, to look at it from a Colts passing defense standpoint, I mean, we'd have to go back to week 10, where this wouldn't hit. So I absolutely love this. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I like
this
that. I
this
might,
wouldn't have hit in 4 games this year,
yeah,
5 games
I,
this year. Sorry.
I would, yeah, I might have to ladder that one with you. I like that one to smell in the 300 passing yards for another one. We'll
Potentially.
see. All right, last one for me, taking it over on a running back again. Derrick Henry over 76.5 rush yards, minus 110 over on Bet365. This is another Saturday game. This is the Ravens going to Lambeau Field, where we have another potential snow game. And you got QB concerns on either side, right? Jordan Love, concussion protocol. He did get a limited practice today, which is a good sign. Malik
Yep.
Willis, also limited practice with the shoulder. And then the other side, you've got Lamar Jackson, who did not practice today with a back injury. Now, they just called it a back contusion. So I do think he's going to be out there. We'll see. But he's clearly not 100%. They need to rely on Derrick Henry. There was a lot of fault for them last week for getting away from the running game when it was clearly working against New England, who has one of the best rush defenses.
Right.
Now we go to a Packers team that, they have a good rush defense as well, but you can run on them. No
Yep.
Michael Parsons, no Devonta Wyatt. We'll see about safety Evan Williams, who's a big piece there. The Bears were able to have some success on the ground against them. And this offensive line really looked good on Saturday. Like, I just don't understand why Harbaugh got away from the run there. I think they're going to pound Derrick Henry there in the snow in Lambeau. Who the fuck is going to want to tackle that?
Right.
So give me Derrick Henry over 76.5 rushing yards, minus 110. Again, I think that number is way too low there. Okay, let's do a quick recap of the props for week 17 in the NFL. You are on Saquon Barkley over 83.5 rush yards there for up in Buffalo, snowy Buffalo. Harold Fannin, anytime touchdown, plus 300 against your Steelers. And Trevor Lawrence, over 238 pass yards against the Indianapolis Colts. For myself, I'm on the other running back in that Buffalo game. Give me Buffalo Bills running back James Cook over 88.5 rush yards against the Eagles there. Kaimi Fairbairn over 7.5 kicking points against the Chargers in SoFi. And then Derrick Henry over 76.5 rush yards at minus 110. I smell another really good slate on the props. Really like all those. Okay, now we're going to our best bets section where we've been on an absolute tear, coming off a 6-1-1 week here. I will let you start us off, my friend. Where are you taking us? Bets we feel so good about, we are prescribing them to you, our first docs prescription of the week.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about this game already, but let's head to the Saturday night game, Ravens at Packers. I think that the Packers go ahead and take care of the Ravens and basically allow my Steelers to sit really pretty going in the last couple of weeks here. But I just think that the Green Bay Packers offense will get rolling against this dreadful Baltimore Ravens defense. I mean, they held Drake May down for a little while this past week, but I think that the Packers ultimately get back to their winning ways after a couple of really close losses the past couple of weeks on the road. So they're back in Lambeau. You mentioned it. I mean, the weather's going to be a factor. I think that the Packers are more used to playing in that situation. And I think that they end up getting a big win and covering the 2.5 points.
Yeah, that's gonna be, I mean, it's a huge game. That's those Saturday games. That's why they put them there. They flex them there. That's a lot on the line there. The Packers looking to punch their ticket to the playoffs, and the Ravens trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. It's Lambeau Field. It's cold weather. It's going to be an amazing game. I'm a little split on that one. I don't know where I'm really at with that one, so I'll be avoiding that. So good luck to you and those Packers, and it'll be good for the Steelers there, obviously. All right, let's go to Sunday slate for me. I've got all my picks on Sunday. Let's start with one that we talked about here. and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars -6.5, -108 over on DraftKings there. This is one where a couple things.
Mhm.
One, I understand that they've said that they're going to start Phillip Rivers regardless this week 17, yada, yada, yada. Again, if the Houston Texans win against the LA Chargers, Colts are out. Their season
Yep.
is over, right? So I think you're getting ahead of that potentially. The bigger thing is this Jags team needs to win they want to win the division. They
Right.
know you've got to win 2 games, right? Yes, they clinched a playoff spot. Great. They've got to win these last 2 games to clinch the AFC South. This is a massive game here. You've got the Colts coming off of a bit of a dream crusher in a short week. You got DeForest back in their back. You got Phillip Rivers. You're playing at home. You're at the Monday Night Football prime time, all the juice in the building. And
Yep.
that defense just laid a complete egg. That is not something that I want to be backing. This Jaguars team is hotter than ever. They just went into Denver and really kind of made that game pretty easy. I'm not going to say they blew them out, but that game was well in hand early on, that Broncos game. So, yeah, give me the Jags. This is a team that I want to be backing right now. I was on them at the beginning of the year. I understand that it's a back-to-back road spot. There's a 5-2 team on the road. I just think the Colts are a dead man walking, and especially if the Texans eliminate the Colts, I think that's really going to take the air out of that stadium. Phillip Rivers, he's been a good story. He looked pretty solid last week, but that offensive line is very beat up. And again, that secondary is just an absolute liability. So give me the Jags -6.5. Where are you taking us next?
Yeah, let's talk about the other game on Saturday, the afternoon one. Houston at Los Angeles against the Chargers. I love the Texans in this one, mostly because you mentioned it earlier. I mean, the Chargers' offensive line issues have just continued to pile up, and the Texans have one of the best pass rushers in the
Yeah.
league. I mean,
Yep.
Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, it doesn't matter. One of them's going to get home a couple of times, I think, in this one. So, yeah,
Yeah.
give me the Texans, who are on a 7-game win streak, make it 8. Yeah, I'll take the Texans, especially getting a couple points.
Yeah, I'm on you there. It's not one of my locks. It was very close, just off my card. I've already bet it there with the 2.5. I think they went out right. The offensive line versus defensive line. Like we saw what this D line could do when there was a mismatch, right? In
Yep.
that Bills Thursday night game, the
Yep.
Bills had some guys go down. They were, a bit decimated. I think they had
Yep.
7 or 8 sacks. They just completely took over the game. And
Yes.
that was even with Davis Mills. Now you
Right.
got CJ Stroud, who's been playing better, him and Nico Collins. Woody Marks is fully practicing today. He should be back.
Yep.
So yeah, the Texans, they've still got their eyes. I mean, they need this to clinch a playoff spot, and then
Right.
they have their eyes set on the AFC South if Jacksonville slips up there.
Right.
So yeah, no, this is one that I'm absolutely backing you. Justin Herbert's really made it work with a patchwork, but I think this is a defensive line where it's going to really be shown how much they're missing Joe Alt. Pipkins has been out. I know another tackle went down for them in Slayer, and then obviously Rashawn Slater in the beginning of the year. So yeah, I like that play. All right, I'm going to stick in my Sunday 12 o'clock window there, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Central time here. We're going to go and talked about Seattle, how they're vying for the 1 seed. They're sitting in the driver's seat right now.
Yep.
But I think this is too many points. They're going to Carolina in a bit of a sleepy spot. Give me Carolina plus the 6.5 here. They've been a really good team as a dog this year in Carolina. They've been pretty damn solid at home. And I understand that, most likely a lot of this is going to come down to the division is going to likely come down to next week. But
Yeah.
if Tampa messes up and loses and the Panthers win this game, they
Yeah.
win the division.
Right.
So they're playing at the same time as the Buccaneers. So at this point, like they're playing to clinch a playoff spot and clinch the NFC South. So I think they're going to be fully motivated. Meanwhile, you have a Seattle team who is already in the playoffs. They've already clinched. And it's this sandwich spot where you just had a massive, massive win. You got the Sean McVay, Matt Stafford monkey off your back.
Yep.
Sam Darnold went from seeing ghosts to being the hero. And now you're riding high. And then you've got your division rival for the 49ers week 18. Everybody talking about that's going to be for the 1 seed, both for the NFC West and the 1 seed. And they just see him looking past this lowly NFC South, competition there. And
Yep.
that's the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina this 7.5 points is just way too much. Carolina 5-2 at home. They beat the Rams at home. This is one of those teams that if you're not careful, you can absolutely slip up. Also, another thing here is the injuries. Man, they had several players go down. Charles Cross, we'll see if he's back out there. He was not out there with the hamstring. They had a linebacker, Derek Hall, who's suspended. Both safety, Kobe Bryant and Nick Amonwori, both those guys got banged up. You had Tariq Woolen get banged up. I mean, they've got a bunch. That game just took everything out of them. Right. It was a total dump the Gatorade, dump everything game. And I love Carolina catching the 7.5 to get a little bit sleepy and make this game pretty tight. So give me Carolina plus 7.5 as home dogs. All right. Where are you going for plate number 3?
Yeah. This is a kind of a funky one. But this, for whatever reason, this game opened up at 9.5. It's been bet up to 13.5. But give me the New York Jets in the points at 13.5 in this one against the New England Patriots in New York. That's the big one. I mean, the New England Patriots, for whatever reason, when they go to New York, they don't play very well, whether it's against your Giants or against the Jets. I mean, over the last 10 years, the Patriots have basically owned the Jets.
Right.
But twice in 2004, they lost outright to the Jets. They only won by, 13 earlier this year. So I think that the New England Patriots going on the road, they're getting all the hype going into this one. I mean, they're starting to get a lot of hype the back half of the season, but I do think the New York Jets can keep this one within 2 scores. So give me the Jets plus 13.5.
Good luck, brother. That is a tough. The Jets and looks like what's his name, Brady Cook's going to be starting again.
Yep.
He's looked rough. I fell into the trap of them last week in the personal kitty against New Orleans. Thought they could keep it close, and they were for the first half. But man, he kind of sucks. So we'll see. But it is a lot of points, and they're coming off a back-to-back road spot there. Huge comeback win. Patriots also a very beat-up team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Travion Henderson, Kayshon Boutte, and their guard are all in the concussion protocol.
Right.
They've had their defensive tackle Tunga is going to be out a couple weeks there. So they're pretty damn beat up and definitely could be looking past this Jets team. So
Yep.
I see it. Man,
Well,
I'm
I mean,
nervous for you.
the Patriots have been winning, but they haven't won by margin very much. I mean,
Sure.
looking back through here, they did take care of your Giants. They did take care of the Browns earlier in the year, but both of those were at home.
Yeah.
I mean, going on the road, they haven't won by margin. I mean, I guess they absolutely destroyed the Titans in a Mike Vrabel revenge game there. But other than that, they've won by 3, they've won by 6, they've won by 6, they've won by 4. I mean, they play in a lot of close games. So I like that one.
Yeah. And just breaking news here: DK Metcalf's 2-game suspension for the Steelers was upheld. So
Okay.
he is officially out for the rest of the season, regular season, and sees $45 million in future guarantees voided, including $25 million that was fully guaranteed for next year.
Well, hopefully they don't need him against the Brownies and take care of business, and then
Yeah.
he can sit out the game that he would have anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see there. Hopefully, it does not hurt the Lures there.
Right.
Okay. Buffalo is what I'm taking next for the
Okay.
next play here. Give me the Buffalo Bills at home, minus the 2.5 over on Bet365, minus 110. This is the best game in the afternoon slate. It's the
Yep.
toilet bowl between the Giants and the Raiders. And then this one, for a lot of seeding and just kind of going to feel like a playoff game between the Bills and the Eagles there. It's going to be low 40s, potentially some chance for some snow there, up there in the weather report. And this is one where, look, the Eagles have had a really weird, streaky season. They've, gotten what I thought was extremely lucky to go out and be an affront. And I think they were like 7-1, and everyone was saying they're going to go back to back.
Yep.
And then they lose to the Giants, and they kind of go through this little stretch of, I think it was the Broncos and the Giants, and then they go through the stretch, and then they win again. And now, they lost 3 in a row. They lost to Dallas, Chicago, and LA, and everyone was saying, man, this team sucks. Are they going to win the NFC East? And then they come back and they beat the Raiders and they beat the Commanders. And
Mhm.
now all of a sudden they're supposed to be a super team again.
Yep.
the Raiders are fucking, and that was with Kenny Pickett.
Right.
The Raiders are awful, right? And the Commanders, if you were watching that game, the Commanders had a lead in the first half. Like that was a game
Yep.
with Marcus Mariota. It's not until Mariota opted out for having a boo boo on his hand, and they put Josh Johnson in the game where that really started to separate. You know, it was still only 11-point victory. I get it. It's on the road. This is a back-to-back road spot. You're going to Buffalo here. Buffalo, you know, they are coming off of a back-to-back road spot themselves. They get to come back for a little bit of a homecoming here. Buffalo on a 4-game winning streak where they beaten the Steelers and the Patriots, actual playoff teams, right? Taking care of Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who look pretty good, and then you know the Browns in that letdown spot.
Yeah.
I love the Bills here. They're 6-1 at home. Meanwhile, the Eagles are 5-3 on the road. I understand there's a chance Lane Johnson and Jalen Carter come back. That would be great for them. But there's been a couple games that they've been off. You know, Lane Johnson, I'm still concerned with that Liz Frank injury that he's going to be able to get back. He's been in and out of the lineup all season long.
Yep.
Nakobe Dean out with a hamstring injury, likely out, I should say. I mean, those are typically not 1-week things.
Right.
That run defense with him in the game versus Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell's been a great rookie, but there's a reason Jahad Campbell was riding the bench for Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean elevated that defense to another level.
No doubt.
You've already got missing Makuba on the back end. You've got CB2 question marks there. I like the Bills in this one. They're
Obviously you like the Bills.
really. They're a gritty team at home. I just think they're a better team than this Eagles team, and I can trust the quarterback more. At the end of the day, I trust the offensive line and the quarterback more. So give me the team where I trust the offense. Give me the Buffalo Bills minus 2.5. Okay, play number 4 for the best bets here. What do we got?
Yeah, the fourth one, since I do put the graphics together, I know we're both on this one. So let's talk about the Chicago Bears going out to the Bay in San Francisco. I absolutely love the Bears in this spot. I think overall the San Francisco 49ers are a pretty good team. I think that they obviously deserve to get to the playoffs. But on this 5-game winning streak, like who have they beaten? I mean, they beat Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis Colts team that's just decimated with injuries.
Right.
They beat the Tennessee Titans. They beat the Cleveland Browns. Carolina was a good win. And then they beat the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they haven't beaten anybody that is looking to get in the playoffs. I mean, they lost to the Rams, they lost to the Texans, they lost to the Jags. Anything that's a team, they've lost to.
Yep.
And even though, Chicago has, been in a lot of close games, they've found a way to win. And when we're going on the road and getting 3 points, I'll take that. So give me Chicago Bears in the 3 points on Sunday night.
I love Chicago here. We're getting the 3. I think that's crazy. I think the almost wrong team favored here. I understand records, home field advantage, blah, blah, blah. But a couple things that you didn't speak about, all really good points. Rest disparity. Chicago played on Saturday. San Francisco just came off a Monday night game.
Right.
A Monday night game where we saw 2 of their stars go down. George Kittle dealing with an ankle injury, and Tatum Bethune, their linebacker who filled in very well for Fred Warner. Both those guys got hurt and were not able to return. Now, neither of them seem to be long-term injuries. Bethune just came off a high ankle sprain, so there's concern for re-aggravation there. George Kittle tried to return. It sounded like he injured it early and then he re-aggravated it. He was limping around. I mean, you're got a chance to really fight for the NFC West. We'll see what happens with the Seahawks, but there's a chance that Week 18 is more important for them right now against that Seattle team. They're looking a little bit ahead to their division rival. Meanwhile, the Bears, they win one game and they win the NFC North.
Right.
Very point blank period. Obviously, if the Packers lose, they clinch that up too, whatever, but they still have a shot for the 1 seed. They have a lot to play for. And this Bears team, you can run on the San Francisco 49ers. And, the Colts, whatever happened there, their offensive line, they really kind of shit the bed. But a lot of teams have shown you can run on the 49ers. And the last thing I'll say, Purdy floats the ball a lot. And he puts stuff up for grabs all the time. The game when they were salting it away, and it should not even have been a game. I don't even know why they were throwing the ball. Threw an interception that gave them life to potentially go down there for the Colts. Now, Phillip Rivers ultimately threw a pick 6, but this Bears defense leads the league in turnovers by a wide margin.
Wide margin, yeah.
I will be all over Purdy interceptions, probably laddering. Like this is, I promise you, he's gonna have a couple game-changing turnovers. And I really like the Bears in this one. I think the wrong team's favored. So, all right, a little bit of agreeance. Always like when we end on some agreeance there. So, recap of the best bets for Professor Locks there. He is on the Green Bay Packers -2.5 and the Houston Texans +2, both on Saturday. Then the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football against the 49ers, and the New York Jets. Don't sleep on those Jets.
Right.
+13.5 against the Patriots. For myself, I am on the Chicago Bears as well on the Sunday Night Football against the 49ers. We've got the Buffalo Bills laying the 2.5 as home favorites, short favorites against the Eagles. Carolina Panthers +7.5, big home dogs there against the Seattle Seahawks. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars laying the 6.5 against the lowly Indianapolis Colts, who may be eliminated by then.
Yep.
Okay, time for a little bit of Degen here. Some big plays. You've got both over 45-1.
That's right.
Can't wait to hear these. What are the Degen plays of the week?
Yeah, let's start it off with the Texans and Chargers game. I think Nico Collins has a massive game in this one. I think he goes over 100 yards. So give me Nico Collins to go over 100 yards.
Okay.
Give me Joe Burrow to throw for 300 in this one against the Arizona Cardinals, who just don't know how to play defense.
Nope.
And then give me Breece Hall because I think the Jets or Joe Burrow to throw for over 300. Yeah. Give me Breece Hall to rush for over 80. I think they try to, suck all the air out of the football and just try to chew clock. And Breece Hall is going to be a massive part of that. So Nico Collins over 100, Joe Burrow over 300, Breece Hall over 80, a nice 45-75, 46-1.
Love it. 46-1. And on your Joe Burrow point, Walter Nolan out for the year and cornerback Garrett Williams. This is down. Injuries are bad. I know my thing always does that. But yeah, that defense has been banged up and they're only more banged up. So Burrow, they let it fly against Miami. So it just seems like they're just kind of on an FU. Wish we could have had a healthy season tour. All right. For myself, I've got one here, the 3 legs as well. I'm going to start in that same game, but go on the other side. Give me Justin Herbert, 40-plus rushing yards. He had 60-plus last week. He's hit this number 2 of the last 4 weeks there. Yep. And we talked about why we like Houston, that defensive line. He's going to have to run around and create. That's kind of one of the best stories about Herbert this season is he's taken that shit offensive line and moved around, and he's used his legs and had to put that fear into the defense to slow down the rush. So I like him to do that as well. I think he's going to have to run the ball here. So I like him starting that off with him, 40-plus rushing yards. Then Derrick Henry, talked about how much I like him in Lambeau Field in cold weather. When you got quarterback concerns about Lamar Jackson, no Micah Parsons, no Devontae Wyatt. That defense is a little bit banged up. Cold weather, who wants to tackle Derrick Henry? Give me him 100-plus rush yards. And then finally, RJ Harvey, 100-plus rushing and receiving. We're going to break down with that game in a second, but Kansas City is decimated on defense and offense. I think that, the Broncos need to win this game for the division. This is still an important game for the Broncos, especially coming off the loss. The 1 seed is, if they win out, is still very much in play. RJ Harvey, no J.K. Dobbins, who's been on the IR. He's taken over this backfield. I love him both. I'm going to do 100-plus rush and receiving because his receiving ability has been a big plus for them. Bo Nix has really been finding him in the backfield. I think he went for 70-plus receiving yards last week. So give me Justin Herbert, 40-plus rush yards, Derrick Henry, 100-plus rush yards, and RJ Harvey, 100-plus rush in receiving at a juicy 59-1. All right. We hit one last week, baby. Why not us this week?
Not 2 in a row.
Why not? All right, we're getting into Christmas time. We're going to round out with our Christmas preview. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a quicker breakdown here of these games. Not as in-depth as we usually do on Thursday night, but we're going to break down these games. We're going to each give out a game pick and a prop, and then we'll be out of here. Yep. So we've got the first game on the slate, a division rivalry with nothing to play for. We've got the 6-8-1 Dallas Cowgirls taking on the 4-11 Washington Commanders here. We've got Dallas laying 7 on the road there. Over-under sitting at 50.5. Dallas minus 325 on the money line. The Commanders plus 260 home dogs here. We'll start with the injuries, and then we'll let Derek start with his analysis here. We've got a couple guys not practicing for Dallas today. You've got wide receiver Ryan Flanoy with a knee and left tackle Tyler Guyton Flournoy was downgraded to a no practice after limited practice yesterday. So at this point, I'm expecting both those guys to be out. You've got running back Javonte Williams, wide receiver Cavante Turpin, and Tyler Booker back-to-back limited practices. A good sign that they're going to be out there this week, as well as Quentin Williams still practicing. But linebacker DeMarvion Overshone is likely going to be out because he hasn't practiced the last 2 days and he has a concussion. So not enough time to clear the concussion protocol there. Now, flipping over to the Commanders side, already ruled out Jaden Daniels for the season, so we will not be seeing him.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota, second day not practicing with a hand and quad injury. Very likely going to be Josh Johnson there. Lermy Tunzel, left tackle, still not practicing. They put defensive tackle Eddie Goldman on the IR and defensive tackle Deron Payne, second day not practicing. So Commanders on to their quarterback number 3. They already put offensive guard Sam Cosmi on the IR. Lermy Tunzel, their left tackle, looks like he's going to be out.
Yep.
This is a little bit of both these teams a bit beat up. Where are we going in this one?
Too many points. Too many points in a division matchup. I don't care if it's Josh Johnson on his 43rd NFL team. Give me the Commanders catching the 7.5. 7. I think it was 7. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7.
I think that the Commanders have enough at home to keep it close against these Dallas Cowboys that have nothing to play for. I think that the aging Commanders get it done.
Yeah, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. I know you've been feeling under the weather. I think you've gotten too much cough syrup in your brain. I was intently watching that game, and because I was hoping the Eagles would lose, because I always hope the Eagles lose.
Sure.
And holy shit, Josh Johnson does not look like a quarterback that wants to play football. He is just simply collecting jerseys at this point. I don't know how you're betting on this, man. He threw one of the worst passes I've ever seen right to Cooper Degen in an opportunity. Like, that was a 3-point game. You just did not need to do that. Awful throw. Meanwhile, Dallas, they're just putting up counting stats at this point. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Ferguson, Prescott has been going off. This Washington Commanders defense is there's only one defense just about as bad as the Cowboys, and it's the Commanders, right? You probably throw the Giants in there too. But these defenses are just awful. I think Dallas offense is the best unit on the field. Give me Dallas. I got it at 6.5 yesterday. I'll take the 7. It's -7, -105 over at FanDuel if you want to be on Dallas for the best price there. I just think that Dallas, Commanders, QB3, 2 offensive linemen out. Their defense has been decimated all year. I understand it's division rivalry, but at least the Cowgirls have their starting quarterback and their offenses actually move the ball. So, yeah, this is going to be an ugly game, but give me Dallas. All right, where are you going for the prop side?
Yeah, I mean, you were all over it last week, pretty much all season. The Cowboys' pass defense is awful. Give me Terry McLaurin over 49.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this number in each of the last 2 weeks. I think he makes it 3 in a row.
Yeah. I think that's probably not a bad play. I mean, even if they got to go out there and underhand toss it to him, they're underdogs. They may be down, but everyone and their mother has been eating against this defense. So I even on the Cowboys, I have no complaints there. And that's probably the lowest his number will ever be.
Probably.
Javonte Williams over 72.5 rush yards. I think this was over at Bet365. I know he's on the injury report with the neck. He was on it last week. He's practicing. I expect him to play. If he doesn't play, immediately pivot to Malik Davis, who's actually looked pretty good. I will also probably be betting Malik Davis as well to go over on the rush there. This defense, you can run all over them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very few defenses that the Eagles running game has got going and looks competent. This is one of them. I don't think the Eagles magically figured it out with some backups on the offensive line and not figuring it out all season. I think this speaks to the Cowboys have been able to run the ball, and Javonte Williams has shown some explosion. And there's going to be missed angles. There's going to be poor tackling. One of the worst tackling teams in the league here in the Commanders. So give me Javonte Williams over 72.5 rush yards. I think that Dallas kind of gets out to a decent lead and starts to lean on the run game a little bit. So I like Javonte Williams, and whenever Malik Davis's numbers are posted, I will likely be on him as well. But bit of an ugly division rivalry game that the division rivalry is going to be carrying the weight in this one. A little bit of the same in this one, but there's something to play for at least. You've got the 8-7 Detroit Lions taking on the 7-8 Minnesota Vikings. This is in the afternoon slate here. This is what? This is gonna
4:30.
be 4:30. Yeah, the
Yep.
4:30 slate game. So we've got the Lions laying 7.5 on the road there, -355 on the money line. Over under sitting at 45.5. Minnesota obviously catching the 7.5 plus 280 here. Now we've got the big thing here is Detroit needs to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Minnesota has already been eliminated from the playoffs. They also just ruled out JJ McCarthy, who has a hairline fracture in his throwing hand.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised if he's done for the season,
Yep.
but it will be Max Brosmer, who
Yep.
had a awful 4-interception game last time he started a game out there. And then they activated Ty Chandler off the IR. Aaron Jones with another limited practice. Looks like he's going to go. But Jordan Mason, no practice this week. Unlikely to go. TJ Hawkinson not practicing with the shoulder. And then center Brian Crowley already ruled out with a concussion. Right tackle Brian O'Neill not practicing 2 days in a row. So you've got your quarterback that's going to be out. Your starting running back's going to be out. Potentially your starting tight end. Your starting center is going to be out. Left tackle Christian Darrisaw already on the IR. And then right tackle Brian O'Neill potentially going to be out. Now on the other side for these Detroit Lions, who also come in a little bit banged up there. I mean, their offensive line has been the story all season. Running back Dave Montgomery popped up in the injury report with an illness, did not practice. Almost all the guys play through that. It's only Tuesday. They play Thursday. Kind of fully expect him to be out there still. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who did not practice yesterday with a knee injury, practiced today, limited. He should be good to go. Left tackle Taylor Decker upgraded to a limited practice. Center Graham Glasgow upgraded to a full practice. And then on the defensive side, really the one of concern is defensive back Avonte Maddox with the back injury. He has not practiced 2 days in a row. But Davenport, Muhammad, and Robertson on the other side for the defense, all limited practices back to back. So definitely the Lions come in a bit healthier than the Vikings. Now, where does that play into your handicap for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Lions, excuse me. I like the Lions in this one to keep their playoff hopes alive. But 7.5's a lot against
It
a
is.
division matchup. They played earlier in the season. I think it was 27-24. And I think the Detroit Lions offense can really get going in this one against a Minnesota Vikings team that takes a lot of risks, which can lead to some rewards for the opposing offense. But I'm going to go over 43.5 in this one. I think the Detroit Lions, like I said, I think their offense can get rolling. I don't necessarily know if Max Brosmer is going to put up a ton of points, but I don't think it really matters. I think, if the Vikings can get to double digits, this flies over because I think the Lions have more to play for. And I think that they're going to want to take it to Minnesota. But with that being said, I think this is going to be a closer game than people think, just because of that division matchup. And I mean, the Vikings still have one of the best receiving cores in the league if Brosmer can get them the ball.
Yeah, I know. This is another one where I'm not on the opposite side of you, but I am on Detroit. Give me
Yeah.
Detroit. Look, they were -6 yesterday. A good thing why you want to follow us on X. Been telling you all week, Mariota's not going to play, and McCarthy's definitely not going to play. So when it was announced, I know the number shot up a little bit. So hopefully you kind of, if you
I
want
think
to
it
be on
opened
that
at
side.
3.5, and it's shot up throughout the week.
Yeah, but I mean, McCarthy, once he went out and you saw that pain last week, you probably realized he was not going to be playing. And then Mariota, when he opted out and was a long shot, that's such a joke, but whatever. Give me Detroit. I'll take the -7 over -110 over on FanDuel right now. Max Brosner is atrocious. I don't. You're right. This Lions defense has not been playing great. Minnesota, they've had a bunch of guys banged up. No Grenard, no Metellus. A couple guys they put on the IR. But this offensive line, no Christian Darrisaw, no center Ryan Kelly, potentially no right tackle Brian O'Neill. I think that the Lions and Aiden Hutchinson are going to be able to get after Brosmer. I think there's going to be a bunch of turnovers here, so that might help the over with some points. But I do ultimately think Detroit, they're going to be the more motivated team. You can run on the Minnesota Vikings. The Giants decided to only run on the Minnesota Vikings, but you
Yeah.
can run on the Vikings. So I think that their run game is going to be able to get going. And when the Lions are able to run the ball, they dominate teams. That's
Yeah.
really can the Lions run the ball? If they
Yes.
can run the ball, there's a very good chance they're going to win. And there's
And
a
I
very
think
good chance they'll be by margin.
I think Dan Campbell will want to, especially after the lack of output that they
Yeah.
showed against the Steelers this past week.
Yeah. All right. What's the prop for this one?
Yeah, I mean, JJ McCarthy's going to be out in this one. Jordan Mason hasn't been practicing. Give me Aaron Jones over 58.5 rushing yards at -110. You can run against the Detroit Lions. So,
Yeah.
yeah, give me Aaron Jones.
Yeah, you saw Jalen Warren had two massive runs there. Steelers were running all over him. I was
Yeah.
shocked how easily the Steelers were running on this Detroit Lions team. They're just I mean, once Brian Branch went out, that was kind of the last little kind of safety pin or linchpin that was
Right.
holding that defense
Right.
together. I'm going to go to another running back on the other side, David Montgomery over 31.5 rush yards, -112. And look, he's not been used as much, right? And he put it something on social media that kind of alluded to that fact. I think Dan Campbell was going to kind of reflect on that game and realize, he has not been utilizing Dave Montgomery. And I think this is the perfect situation. One, you've got an incompetent quarterback in Brosmer on the other side. You want to shorten the game a little bit. You want to be able to get a little bit of lead and run the ball. I think he's going to get back to that. Montgomery hit this in the game that they played against the Vikings just a few weeks ago, where he had 40-plus rushing yards. I think there's going to be more emphasis put on the run game. And, Gibbs is going to get his, but I do think they're going to work Montgomery in, for 8 to 10 carry game. Sure. And then I also think they're going to reward him on the goal line. He's got 8 rushing touchdowns this year. Give me his anytime touchdown at +140. I just think it's a really some nice value we're getting. This used to be an automatic play. Now they've kind of a little bit got away from it, but I do expect the Lions to score a bunch of points and to be running the ball heavily in the second half. So give me Montgomery over 31.5, and then I like his anytime touchdown at +140. All right, last game on the slate to wrap up this Christmas holiday. We've got another division rivalry game with more backup quarterbacks. We've got the 12-3 Denver Broncos, the number 1 seed in the AFC, taking on the 6-9 Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. This is the night game here. You got Broncos laying 13.5, which is just insane to see at this point. -1,100 on the money line. Over under sitting at 36.5. Chiefs catching 13.5, -112. Money line +700. Obviously, the Broncos want to keep playing not only for the 1 seed, but to lock up the AFC West. They need to win out to do that, or the Chargers need to lose a game and they win this one. And you have a situation where the Chiefs are now on their 3rd quarterback. So looking at the injury report here, let's start with Denver. Wide receiver Pat Bryant stretchered off. Thankfully, extremities moving, just the concussion, but not practicing on a short week. No one's going to clear concussion protocol, so he is pretty much ruled out. Now, center Luke Wattenberg has not practiced 2 days in a row. That's not a great sign. Neither is linebacker Trey Greenlaw with a hamstring. He's not practiced. So Wattenberg, Greenlaw, and Pat Bryant likely to be out in this one. But guard Ben Powers is practicing fully, and so is cornerback number 2 Riley Moss. For the Kansas City Chiefs, Broncos missing a few guys. The Chiefs missing a lot of guys. Wide receivers, Rashee Rice, wide receiver Nico Remigio, and wide receiver Tyquan Thornton, all not practicing. Rice and Thornton with concussion, so they're definitely not playing because you need to practice twice to clear protocol. They did have a couple of guys practice in full in offensive tackle Jalen Moore and offensive tackle Essa Poole and guard Trey Smith. So the offensive line gets a little bit healthier there. But cornerbacks Trent McDuffie and cornerbacks Jalen Watson, arguably their best 2 cornerbacks, back-to-back, no practices, and basically going to be rolled out for this game. Where are we going in this one? Do you have a side, or 13.5 is a shit ton of points?
13.5 is a lot, but the last time we saw the Broncos, I guess not this past time, but the second game last year, I believe it was 31-0. To finish out the regular season. Broncos won. But I think the safer play, the best play for this one is the over. I think that by a long shot, I think that the Broncos offense gets rolling. There's a reason why I love Cortland Sutton to fly over his number. I have a different guy that really like as well. But I do think that the Chiefs get things going maybe a little bit in the second half, in garbage time and score a couple times. So yeah, I'll take the over 36.5 at -108.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, give me the over. This was a hard one. A lot of these were not the best because it's like, well, who's playing for what, and this is like this is like spring football with the quarterbacks we're talking about.
Yeah.
But because it's going to be no Gardner Minshew, who's put on the IR. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes with the ACL tear. Minshew with a fracture of his tibial plateau.
Right.
Chris Aludicon, and they did sign quarterback Shane Buechele, former SMU quarterback.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a mess back there, but that could lead to turnovers, which backup quarterbacks and turnovers. He's a little bit of a runner with the legs. Could do some of that there. They do have Travis Kelce, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, a couple pieces there. But ultimately, I think Denver does a lot of this heavy lifting. Now, I don't want to be in a backdoor situation where they get a garbage time touchdown, so that's why I'm not on Denver and I'm more on the over. I think they're going to get it going on the run game. I think the pass game. I think Sean Payton knows, that was a bad performance against the Jags. They really need to be able to step it up, and they're going up against a much more decimated defense. I think Bo Nix is going to have himself a day through the air. Again, their top two cornerbacks in Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson are likely going to be out in this one. It's going to make things a lot easier for this offense to operate. So, yeah, I'm on the over as well. Where are you going in the props market?
Yeah, a guy that we were really high on coming into the season that just hasn't really panned out, and that's Evan Ingram. I do like him this week against a Chiefs defense that's beat up and just frankly hasn't been real great against the tight end
No.
all season. I think in the last 10 games, the tight end position would have gone over this number in 9 of them.
Wow.
So give me Evan Ingram over 28.5 receiving yards at -110 for this Thursday.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. I probably will be on that. For me, another Bronco. I already talked about it in the Degen play, but RJ Harvey over 72.5 rushing receiving yards.
Yep.
I think that's -113. He almost hit this by receiving yards alone last week. He had 70 plus receiving yards. He is their RB1. I know they're working in Jaleel McLaughlin and they do some of these other plays here, but RJ Harvey is going to be the man. They're going to have a lead in this game. They're going to lean both on the running game and then get him going, whether it's screens or just line up on a linebacker. I think he's a mismatch on the field. He's got the speed to break one. I just think he's going to be the featured guy here outside of Bo Nix. So RJ Harvey over 72.5 rush and receiving yards. And that does it, folks. That is our Christmas, NFL Christmas spectacular, our special episode that we do here as Derek brings in the festivity. What do you got for the people before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but we're just giving out these free plays. And as long as we continue to get subscribers, the bosses will allow us to continue to give these out for free. So smash that subscribe button. We're getting really close to our goal, but we haven't hit it yet. So, talk to Aunt Sally or Uncle John or whoever this Christmas holiday and say, hey, have you guys heard of the Degen docs over on DFSG Plus? They're giving out a bunch of plays. They're hitting at 80%. What better way to, provide a little bit of extra holiday cheer by, giving out great bets?
Yeah. I mean, look, Derek said it, but you could get somebody an iPhone. You could get somebody a stocking stuffer. You could get somebody, a TV, whatever it may
Air
be.
fry or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever, socks or something.
Yeah.
Isn't it better to give the gift that keeps on giving?
Exactly.
And that is sharing with your friends and family about the Degen docs, 21 and older. 21 and older.
Exactly.
Clear.
Yes.
Make sure they can
Subscription
legally
to
bet.
Degen docs, not the Jelly of the Month Club.
Yes,
Highly
exactly. But hey, like we said, folks, giving out all these winners for free, and hopefully you at least enjoyed talking ball with us. Mix it up with us in the comments below. We will do our best to respond to every single one that we get. And also, go ahead and give us a follow over on X. He's at Professor_Lock2. I'm at the Degen Doc here. Probably the best way. If you want to stay up to date with injury info and get some stuff that we're throwing out, You want to make sure you're getting all the bets. That's the way to go. Give us a follow there. But smash that like and subscribe button. Help your boys out for this holiday season. And you know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. Hitting at an insane 80% this entire month. He's Professor Locks, and I'm the Degen Doc here at DFSG Plus. And we are out of here.